Okay, we will head to Rory. Rory Dollard, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Rory.
First home defeat as a captain, allied to last week's sort of drama with Ollie Robinson. Can you just tell us how it feels right now on the back end of what's been a really tough couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's been frustrating and disappointing performance this week. I don't think we've given a fair account of ourselves. Been outplayed in all three departments, especially the batting. And we have to be honest. We have to front up to that. We have to look to get better and learn some hard lessons sometimes. And I think it's important that we look at that in the right way, in a constructive way, and keep looking to find ways of being better.
And with the off-field stuff as well, is this the hardest sort of period, I guess, of managing this team and managing this group as a captain?
I actually think once the game came around, when the training days came around, we managed to focus ourselves solely on the cricket, and I don't think that's really sort of dripped into the way we've played. I think that would be a bit of an excuse, to be honest. I think we just not managed the game as well as they did. I think that they've exploited conditions better at certain times. We didn't get the runs that we wanted first innings. I think we were probably below par there. We missed chances in the field, didn't really help our bowlers out in that respect. And obviously yesterday with the bat, we were poor. And you know that in Test cricket, sometimes you can have a poor session with the ball and you're still very much in the game. But when you have a session like that, it can really cost you a Test match. And that's where we find ourselves right now. It's cost us a series, and we've got some hard lessons to learn. But we've got to front up to that. We've got to look at it constructively, as I mentioned, and look at where individually and collectively where we can get better, and be honest about that. Have some hard conversations, and move forward.
Just one more from me, Joe. You're sort of 8 Test matches into this year, and you haven't had your best 11 out at any point, or your first choice 11 probably. Is that satisfactory, or does something have to give, do you think?
Well, we've got 5 more Test matches to come this summer, and I'd like to think that for those 5 Test matches we'll have our first 11 available if all fit. So I think that's really exciting prospect for us as a team, and something to look forward to.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to John and then Stefan.
Oh, hi. Most of the top 6 or 7 in this match for England have averages in the low 30s and quite unorthodox technique, some of them. Can you give your appraisal of how your batting is shaping up?
There's been a lot of talk about technique and batting, and my view on it is very much that batting is very individual. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. You look at the best players around the world. You look at a number of players. Take the top 10 for example. They all have completely different methods of how they play. You look at how they stand, their bat paths, where they score their runs. It's all very unique, and I think that's one of the great intricacies of Test cricket and batting and cricket. But it's understanding how that works and how that works consistently well for long periods of time. So for me, it's more of a mental thing. It's managing passages of play well, having clarity in your own game about how you're going to manage certain bowlers, different angles, different conditions, and doing that consistently well over a series or over an innings, and breaking things down into at times 10 over periods and saying, actually, this is quite tough at the minute. We've got to find a way to get through 10 overs, and the game will look very different again. And I think that's somewhere where we can be a little bit smarter on occasions. It's somewhere that throughout my career, I've got that horribly wrong on occasions. And as well, you look at the team as the leading run scorer within our squad currently. I feel like I've put a lot of pressure on those guys by not performing myself. And as a captain, you pride yourself on making big scores and leading from the front. And I've not managed to follow through on that. So probably compounded that situation slightly with that. But like I say, ultimately, it's about being really honest about your own performances, looking at your dismissals, looking about how you set up your innings and being better, learning from the opposition as well. I think that's important, learning from the players around you, but having real clarity about where you're going to score your runs against certain bowlers, managing risk on occasions, but it's all about finding ways of managing periods of play for long periods of time.
I mean, Stokes and Butler will come back, but do you think this is a batting lineup that can beat India at home and Australia away?
I think, yeah. I mean, look, every single one of those guys has proven that they can score big test runs, and we've all underperformed this week. I think it'd be the wrong time to start panicking and start really trying to rip up the all the hard work that we've done for such a long period of time now. It's something that historically we've done going into major tournaments. Historically, we've done going into big test series, and it's made things even worse. I think ultimately it's about this group of players taking what's happened this week and making themselves better for it, becoming more resilient off the back of it, and learning some hard lessons, which at times, from time to time, you have to be able to do it in this format of the game. And we shouldn't shy away from that. We shouldn't be scared of that. Front up to it and come back a better team for it.
Okay, we'll go to Stefan and Simon.
Hello, Joe. A lot of people holding tickets today would have been looking forward to this for a very long time. What would you say to those people who have been robbed of pretty much an entire day of Test cricket because of the performance of your team?
Yeah, like I said, we're very disappointed. We've really looked forward to this atmosphere, and we've thoroughly enjoyed the support and the atmosphere that's provided throughout the 3 days. So yeah, I mean, it'd be bitterly disappointing for those guys. They feel everything that we feel in the dressing room. You can see that. We know that we come to this ground in particular. Everywhere around the UK, we get some fantastic support, and we're very grateful for that. And losing Test matches hurts. It hurts us as players, and I know it hurts the support that we have. And we've got to make sure when we come back out, when we've got that support out there again, hopefully later on in the summer, that we repay them with some good performances.
You've just talked about learning lessons. For a long time this year, we've talked about the rotation and all those sorts of things, building towards the Ashes. How much faith can we have that those lessons are going to be learned, that everything is going to come together and be okay for those big series?
I think more than anything is the fact that you've got some very strong characters in that dressing room, and there's a huge desire to keep getting better as a team. And we're not quite that number one side in the world right now, but we know that there's talent, there's ability in the group, there's mixed with some very good experience as well that can get us there. And sometimes this is where you really learn a lot about the group of players going through a difficult week like this, a difficult period like this. And this is the way you have to stand up, you have to front up to it, and come out the other side of it. And I like to think that when that India series comes around, we'll be in a good place to take on a very good side in these conditions.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Simon Well, Chris Stocks.
Hi, Joe. These two tests have been played on less seamer-friendly pitches than normal, perhaps for England. Does that plan continue against India, and what are you learning from it?
Look, I think more than anything is that regardless of what the conditions, we've got to manage. Like I say, we've got to manage certain passages of play better. Throughout the 2 games, we've lost clusters of wickets together, and that's where we've stumbled. Really, that's where we've given New Zealand opportunities to get ahead in the game. And I think those first 20 balls, recognising the threat, recognising the danger a little bit, and being a little bit smarter about where we're going to score is been that's one of the big learns I think we've got to take from this series. But you credit to New Zealand; they've exploited that very well. They've bowled some very good lengths. We've got an attack which does suit these conditions, and at times they've outperformed us. But it doesn't mean that we don't have to be better. We know that, and we'll certainly look to come back and improve.
Do you regret not picking a spinner in this game?
As I mentioned, going into the game, it's always going to be an unbalanced team. However we went about it, whatever we went with, and I thought actually having those 4 seamers, Ollie came in, for example, and he created some very good chances. He didn't get the rewards that he deserved. I think 2 drop catches off his bowling. I think it could have looked very different. We take those chances if Conway's given out. The fact that Murray wasn't, and we've got to get on with that. But if he was given out, the whole complexion of the Test match changes. Especially if we take those chances off the back of it, and we could find ourselves in a very different position. But that's sport, that's Test cricket, and they're the fine margins that sometimes dictate a game.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go with Chris, and then we'll finish with George and Will.
Hi, Joe. You said earlier, it's not a time for panic. I just wondered what the likes of Zach Crawley and Ollie Pope, who've had tough series, need to do between now and that first Test against India to guarantee their place in the team. And also some guys on the fringes like Hasib Hamid and David Malan, would they be in contention if push came to shove for that first Test at Trent Bridge?
I think when you talk about selection, that's something that we'd have to consider closer to the time. In terms of our guys right now, I think one of the best things we can do is first of all, take a few days, reflect on what's happened. And when the opportunities come to go back to the counties and play some white ball cricket, take it. I think going out there, scoring runs, regardless of the format, getting that confidence behind you, hitting the ball again in good, strong areas is a really good way to come back off a series where you've struggled. I've found in the past when we've had a Test series going into a white ball series, if I've not quite performed in a Test series, I found actually a change of format is sometimes a different outlook on the game. It's a really good way to get your mind in a good place about scoring runs again. And sometimes a score is all you need. Some time out there in the middle, hitting the ball in the middle of the bat, feeling good again. That confidence can really flow over into a different format. And I think it's an opportunity for guys to go back and do that.
So those guys who've had a tough series do need to score runs then before the India series?
I think everyone needs to score runs. I think you look at guys that haven't been playing, they want to go into the games that they've got, and they want to make sure that they're putting in big performances and readying themselves the best they can. Regardless of the format, as batters, that's your currency is runs, big runs. And whoever you're playing for, whatever the format, that's what your intentions are, is to go and help win your side a game, set it up if you bat it first, or be there at the end, not out, having won the game for the team. So they're the challenges in front of the group, whether they're in the current squad or not, or just outside the current 11. Is go away and make big scores, regardless of the format, and put your hand up for selection, just like everyone else.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, one each from George and Will. Go ahead, George.
Good day, Joe. When you talk in terms of the importance of being honest, is the game really ready to be honest and accept that actually we have a structure that doesn't work? We have a coaching system, a scouting system, a domestic program that hasn't produced a Test quality batsman since you developed a decade ago. Do you think the game is ready to be that honest, or are we just going to blame the individual players again?
I mean, that's a question for someone else, I think. From my side of things, as captain of this Test team, it's about trying to put in performances and help this group of players win as many games as possible. And as I say, there's some very talented players around the country. There's some very talented players in this dressing room. They've done some wonderful things in the Test match shirt. And we've had a poor week, we've had a poor series, and you've got to front up to that. But it doesn't make them bad players. We've got to keep looking to get better, keep looking to learn. And actually, if we're making the same mistakes, then that's where we've got to be really brutally honest and say, well, do I need to change something, whether it's mentally, technically, and become a better player from that point onwards.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Last one, Will, Matt first. Go ahead, Will.
Joe, you've spoken about having an unbalanced side in the series. You've spoken about not having your strongest team all year yet. But when you see the situation with New Zealand, with Trent Boult playing this game, having come back from the IPL and all that kind of stuff, is it frustrating as Test captain to know that in about an hour and a half, Chris Wokes, Josh Buttler, Moeen Ali, they're all going to be playing in the Blast, and you haven't got access to them, and it's caused all these problems for your team?
That's out of my hands to a degree. I think one thing that we've got from these games is we've got more knowledge on certain players that have been in and around the squad for a period of time now, and we're better off for that. in terms of having our best 11, you'd like to think that if all fit and ready, that will be the case for the 5 test matches against India, which is a very exciting series for us. And that'll give us a huge amount of confidence having that experience back, having those guys, having had cricket behind them coming into to that series. I think it was a little bit more complicated than that. There's, you're managing injury risk with build up to games and things like that. It's not as straightforward as just getting straight back into it. But yeah, of course, that series is something that we're very much looking forward to, having a full squad of players to pick from.
If it's out of your hands, are you feeling a bit hamstrung as captain? No,
I think as we've spoken about so many times, you've heard me say this many times, we find ourselves in these COVID times and things aren't perfect, they're not ideal. And we've got to find the best way of managing what's right in front of us. And yeah, the whole thing's frustrating from time to time. Every test match you want all of your best players available, but at the minute it's not quite a possibility. And with that does present opportunities. It does present chances for guys to put their hand up and stake a claim and put in strong performances that they might not have had chance to do if those guys were available. But that's part and parcel of the world we live in right now. And the sooner it can get back to normal, the better for a number of reasons.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.